Hello, sleepyheads. I'm sorry for having been absent. It's been a doozy of a few weeks. Firstly, I painted myself into a corner with my editing again. And by that I mean I filmed several videos that are like over an hour long and on noisy days. So it's been very time consuming to go through them and edit them properly. And that's something I keep like avowing that I'm not going to do anymore. But when I start a ramble, I get really zoomed in and I lose track of time. So it's an ongoing issue. The other thing is also if my lips look a lot smaller in this video, that's because I lost my lip liner. It's so pathetic, but here we are. And I just haven't had the, presence of mind to even replace it. I filmed a Get Ready With Me a few weeks ago and realized at that point that I couldn't find my lip liner. So, and it's like the one that I use, the one that's right for my lip color. So since then, I just haven't had lip liner, and that's fine because I don't really overline my lips in day-to-day life. I just do it as a kind of stage makeup for the videos so that I'm not bothered by the asymmetry of my lips. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but this side is a lot fuller than that side. So without being too precious about it, I'm just going to jump into a quick little update and get back on track. Tomorrow I'm going to film that story time wherein I recount my different encounters with celebrities for whatever they're worth. So, what's been going on with me other than being overwhelmed by my editing docket and losing my lip liner? Well, it's been kind of a mixed bag. I don't know about you, but I've been feeling pretty overstimulated. Like there's more information to process right now than I can handle. There's obviously a lot going on social media, and I feel like there's a lot to keep in my head at once. I don't know if it's also that my tutoring schedule has taken over my brain space a little more. I'm now tutoring one more day a week, not really more hours, just more spread out, which is a little frustrating because it's nice to have days off, especially at a time like this. It's nice to have a good number of days off, like a good balance, and I'm the sort of person that would rather load up one day, work almost to the point of exhaustion one day, do the 10-hour shift, so to speak. Not that I'm able to secure that many hours for myself at this time in a row, but I am the person who would rather do all my tutoring on one day. Like there was one day of the week that I was seeing 5, sometimes 6 students in a row, just go until dinner, and then I do my session notes, which would take me a couple hours after that usually. So giving feedback on the students one by one. So yeah, I'm now doing tutoring one more day, just because some parents couldn't do certain days anymore, and I just really had to for the sake of retention, work with them and figure out different days and give up one of my days off for a couple of my students. I could have just told them like tough cookies and filled those existing slots with new students, but it is extra work and extra stress to take on new students. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but when you get used to a student and you know what they need to work on, you know what to expect, I guess that makes sense for a lot of people. Like there's a lot of onset work and stress, or I guess more startup work and stress at the start of any given job. And with tutoring, each student is like that. It's like it's going to be its own curriculum. You're going to be addressing maybe a completely different set of concepts, or reading from different materials, and that student's needs of you as a tutor could be very different. Right now I am tutoring some 8-year-olds and a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old and a soon-to-be 16-year-old and a 14-year-old, and a 9-year-old. You get the point. I should have just figured out my range. That would have been a faster way to say that, but I'm tutoring from ages 8 through 16. So it's a lot of different things to cover, and it's not like I have a bunch of third graders, like it's like third, fourth, fifth, they're all learning different things for the most part. I am tutoring a set of twins who are learning the same things at this moment. The tutoring company wanted me to do 2 different curricula for them, and I had to draw a boundary because the poor parents too, that would have been a lot to keep track of, the different materials for the different kids, because they have 3 kids in tutoring overall. So I just didn't feel like, especially virtually, I can't just go and look over a workbook through which they've been making their respective ways. I would have to get like scans or photos of their progress from their parents, and I'd already had them working off scans for a while, and that was a lot of back and forth between the mother and me. I would do a lot of scanning. I had to spend so much time scanning at the beginning, and because I had copies of different workbooks, and we didn't know how long we'd be doing those workbooks, so I didn't want to make her buy them. So one of the parents just texted me as I was talking about her, and that was kind of unusual because we don't usually correspond on this day. Okay. In my mind, I'm always like, I'm fired. Do you have that? Did you see like all the color go out of my face? Just kidding. I'm already as pale as I can be. You can already see my veins through my skin. And any color that I do have I add on, except for my eyelids. They are naturally very pink. So yeah, we were already doing a lot with scans in the beginning, and the parents expressed being pretty overwhelmed, that it was a lot of printing for them and keeping things straight, keeping like assignments straight, among the different kids. Because I'd be like, okay, we're working in writing paragraphs 2 for X student, and they need to do pages 22 through 24, and Y student needs to work in writing paragraphs 3 on pages 21 through 22, and Z student needs to work in Heath Mathematics 5 on pages 381 through 384. And as you can imagine, meeting twice a week per student for a total of 6 sessions per week, with an expectation that they do work between sessions, do homework for me. Over the summer, the parents really got fried, and I also got fried doing all those scans and keeping everything straight myself. So we kind of together together drew a boundary with the tutoring company. And I was kind of the go-between and tried to convey to the tutoring company that it was no longer realistic. It just wasn't going to happen. They weren't going to do that homework. And so we ordered them some workbooks, and the twins in particular were put on the same program. And I really advocated for the student whom the company perceived as more behind. And I really clarified that, because I really felt that his aptitude was there, and it was more just his hygiene around his study habits. And so many 8-year-olds aren't going to have any habituation of, proactive or just productive study habits to speak of at that age. So I just said, if I'm going to be on the call with him anyway, I can hold him to it. I can make sure he's doing the exercises, but he can do them. He just struggles with focus. I just realized I used specific pronouns for the student. I try not to do that, but sometimes I forget. But in general, hopefully there's enough anonymity all around. You probably hear me doing that in other situations as well, referring to people as they. It's for ambiguity and, a little more privacy, a little more anonymity. But I also just think it's good to practice using the they, them pronouns in singular syntax, not syntax, because it's just good practice for non-binary friends, gender non-conforming friends, people whose pronouns happen to be they, them. So yeah. So anyway, see how off track I get. So yeah. It's really nice to continue on with them. Whoa, the light just changed a lot again. Did you see that? So one of the students has a big interest in words. She has a fantastic vocabulary for her age. So it's really fun to work with her because she's just so hungry to learn new words. And she's writing a book. It's very sweet. She's 11. And my other student today is going to be 16 in just a few days. So very exciting time. And I help that student more with, see, I caught myself, so now I'm being ambiguous again. I help that student more with different classwork. So they've had a lot of marine biology labs this year, different assignments. I helped them write a paper on sea ice, which is really interesting. It's fun to learn about things anew, or sometimes for the first time when you're working with students, especially when you're tutoring, not to teach a curriculum like the vocabulary student. I teach vocab, I have my own curriculum that I've built, and I write tests for her. I was going to say them, but the jig is up. Her. I write tests for her, whereas for the 16-year-old, I'm often just supporting them with work they are doing for school. So, different kinds of tutoring work. I think I just also really wanted to get myself together. I was being pretty intuitive about resolutions and, starting the new year. As you probably heard in my last video, I've been pretty lenient with myself about, expectations starting. Wow, that light just changed so much. I've been pretty lenient with myself about, how I'm starting this new year, but I have naturally wanted to get myself together, get things organized, get things clean. I have lots of little projects to do. I have to return my IRS, my tax forms, because they thought that my signature was a photocopy, which was funny. I've been razzed. A few people have razzed me about that. Wow, look at that light again. I much prefer this light. So, really I'm just trying to get I've just been trying to get my shit together, Today I'm going to strip the bed, I'm going to bleach all my towels, wash all my sheets, wash all my couch linens because I always keep my couch covered. And I'm going to make a really nice dinner. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it, which, as you know, can be hard for me sometimes with cooking. So I'm going to make cashew pineapple fried rice with a really strong curry flavor. It's something that I've liked, that I've had at different Thai restaurants. So I'm going to make that, and I'm going to go right after this and make the rice for it, because they recommend you use day-old rice, but I don't have day-old rice, so I have to fudge it a little bit. I have to make some rice and then leave it to cool in the fridge for a few hours. And I'm also going to make orange tofu, so I have to press some tofu now as well. I'm going to do all this food prep right after this and put in a load of laundry, and then I'm going to get as much done as I can before I tutor, and then tutor for a little bit, and then resume cooking, finish up the big meal. So it's a little ambitious, the two things, because I'm going to make like a batter for the tofu, as well as a sauce, and then the rice, is a few different steps. So I've done a lot more elaborate things. I just, when I'm not being paid to do them or forced to do them, I get very lazy with cooking. So, not to say that I can't, get up the energy to make vegan sushi, just like do a 6-hour recipe. Like I made crab cakes a few weeks ago that were terrible because the only jackfruit I had came in brine, and so they came out way too salty. Even without added salt, they were just so salty because there was already salt in Old Bay. So terrible. They turned out so bad. I mean, they looked great, the texture was good, but they were just so salty, almost inedible. But anyway, so yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. I organized a bunch of mini Polaroids that I have. I have like several hundred of them from the last 3 or 4 years since I bought myself a little Fujifilm Instax camera. So, there's the light again. So I put those all in an album and organized them like chronologically to the best of my ability. And I have started writing another screenplay. I've written 2. Can't say they're any good, but I have written 2 feature-length screenplays. One of them is way too long. It's like 200 pages, like no way. Maybe a mini-series, but no way. And then the other is 90 pages and really edited. Like, it's the one I've spent more time on because for me, the editing process is a lot of elimination, very subtractive. So, my dad always told me that I was going to need to learn to kill my darlings. So, with one of those scripts, I managed to do that, and with the other, it's just so complicated. I've again painted myself into a corner. But yeah, I'm excited about this new idea, and I've actually been writing a lot. It's funny because I'm like avoiding writing a book I wanted to work on by writing this screenplay. So I'll take it as long as I'm making progress somewhere and feeling creative somewhere. So yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I feel like I've been up to a lot. And I've been having heart pain, like a really mysterious stabbing, kind of a bubbling feeling, sometimes a crunchy feeling like under my heart, and then stabbing pains. And sometimes I'm like, maybe it's anxiety. It really feels localized, like around my heart. But I know that sometimes we can somatize stress to particular parts of our bodies, but it would just also happen like when I was exerting myself or in certain positions. So I was like, okay, is this angina? I would be taking my blood pressure and trying to see, also what my arrhythmia was doing at that time, my PVCs. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's like pericarditis, maybe it's like inflammation around my heart. And, we're all hypochondriacs right now, reasonably so. So I was like, okay, have I had COVID without realizing it? Because I know it can be detrimental. It can weaken the heart muscle. Or like, is this the onset? Am I experiencing one of my first symptoms? So things like that. Because I really just didn't know. Maybe I'll explain in a future video when I have more time, just the whole story of getting diagnosed with the PVCs. I also have a murmur. It's like a prolapsed valve in my heart that rather than letting blood through and then completely closing, it actually goes backwards a little bit and spits some blood back in the other direction. But that's completely benign, whereas my PVCs are something that my cardiologist told me it might benefit me in the long run to control with beta blockers or to have surgically fixed, like burned off my heart. They would go through my leg and they would burn off a part of my heart. So not that serious as far as heart issues go, but for my age, more serious than not having it, and more serious than having the more mild forms of PVC or the more sporadic PVCs. So maybe I'll show you an EKG or something sometime. But for me, when I'm having them, it goes beat, PVC, PVC, beat, PVC, PVC. So I have 2 irregular beats for every regular beat, which can be, it can feel bad and it can be taxing on the heart unnecessarily. So yeah, I feel like I'm getting all jazzed up. Maybe it's the gum. I'm going to go to the cardiologist. I'm going to go to the cardiologist in 3 weeks. And he's going to do an EKG. He's the same one I went to several years ago, so I have a kind of baseline with him. And he's going to see what's going on, maybe do a stress echo. Yeah. So I've been trying to take it really easy in light of that, even though it feels like it's been almost a year now of taking it easy. Okay, it's getting noisy. Anyway, I'm sorry for being away. We can blame it on the heart. But I just lost so much footage, but it's okay. Just like 30 minutes, and now there's a behemoth truck making its way down the street. So yeah, I guess I was just saying that I was talking about tutoring, and then big light shift. I don't know if you saw that. So I've been lenient with myself, as you know, going into this new year in terms of like expectations around productivity and not having this idea that I'm going to completely change as a person. So this truck is now idling outside, but I just was talking about not putting pressure on myself to magically be a different person because of the new year. It's a pretty toxic thing that we do to ourselves every January. So for me though, I've just been intuitive about it and listened to my instincts around things I wanted to get done. So sorry about that, it's so loud. So yeah, I've been taking the last few weeks to try to get myself together, but on no particular timeline, just trying to improve my space, get myself organized in my tutoring work and in my social work. Oh, that truck is breaking my heart right now. Yeah, I've just been trying to get myself together on my own terms. So like today, for example, is a productive day. I've had some really restful days as well since the new year. But today I'm going to finish stripping my bed, and I'm going to launder all my bedding and my couch linens because I keep my couch covered. So it has a cover and some pillowcases and things like that. And I'm going to bleach all my towels. And gonna make a nice full meal tonight, a big dinner. I'm going to make like a cashew pineapple fried rice, which is something I've enjoyed when I've gone out to Thai restaurants sometimes. I know that I think there's a version of it in some Chinese cuisine as well, but not with that same curry flavor. They are very different dishes in my experience. So I'm going to make Thai pineapple fried rice, and then I'm going to make an orange tofu. So definitely mixing my cuisines, and that's just because I found two recipes that don't necessarily go together, but that I felt like I could do to be a little more impressive, put a little more effort in than I have recently. Like I'm gonna have to make a batter and a sauce for the tofu, and I'm going to have to press the tofu ahead of time. After this, I'm gonna go do that, and I'm going to make the rice because you're really supposed to use day-old rice, but I don't have day-old rice. So I'm going to fudge it by cooking rice early and then putting it in the fridge for a few hours to cool and get nice and starchy and clumpy. So yeah, that's my day today. It's just tutoring and lots of laundry and cooking, and I did little projects like I fixed my nails up to my liking for now as I continue to grow them out with some success. They're finally getting healthy again. You can still see a little dent in this one from over drilling. So I organized a bunch of loose Polaroids. I have a lot of mini Polaroids that I've accumulated since I bought myself a Fujifilm Instax mini Polaroid camera a few years ago. So I put them all in a little album chronologically to the best of my ability, or as far as I could remember. Sometimes it's hard to tell from which event a photo originated, and even the order. It's funny, but I wish I could even remember the order in which I took the photos in a set. I don't know. I feel like I like to remember as much of life and how it actually happened as possible. So I think I would really enjoy like some sort of archiving job. I don't know. So I'm gonna do that, and other than that, I'm gonna keep it nice and easy. I've been trying to not get stressed out because I've been having weird symptoms around my heart. It was like a sharp stabbing pain sometimes, and then other times it was like a crackling, bubbling feeling, and it was just on my left side and around my heart and kind of behind and under it. So I know that panic attacks can get kind of somatized, like they can feel like they're happening to the heart or around the heart. It didn't really feel like that, but that's not to diminish, how much people with panic attacks do attest to the fact that they feel like heart attacks, sometimes. But I was just looking it up, and it kind of sounded more like angina, maybe a little bit, or even pericarditis. So, of course, my mind went to COVID. I was like, okay, so if I have inflammation of the chest wall, is that because maybe I had COVID without knowing it? Even though I've been on the bell curve, or as far as the bell curve goes, I've been pretty careful and pretty hermetic. My mind flashes to trips to the UPS store, even if I just was like dropping off pre-labeled things outside, or picking up food orders, even if it was curbside. I'm like, okay, even so, like, I know that there are some strains that are more transmissible floating around now. So I was just, this time is making hypochondriacs of us all. I had a similar crisis a few months ago when I was just feeling really lethargic. I was like, oh, I definitely have COVID. And then I was worried maybe if it wasn't a sign that I'd already had it, and it had like residually or negatively had a negative impact on my heart muscle, like weakened it, then I was like, okay, maybe this is the onset and it's about to get a lot worse. Maybe I'm getting it just now. But the symptoms did subside after a week. Another reason I didn't think it was panic was it was worse when I would bend over or laugh or in certain positions. So I was on the lookout for other symptoms, and I was like Googling heart attacks in women, but I didn't really have any other symptoms except for one day where I was really, really tired. Like, I didn't have shortness of breath or neck pain or, numbness anywhere, unusual headaches. So instead I just made an appointment with my cardiologist. Haven't seen him in a few years. He told me that I was fine. I could go on beta blockers, or I could have a surgery to burn off a part of my heart. They'd go through my leg. It's pretty standard with some worse cases of PVCs. But he told me that maybe if I tried to manage my stress, I wouldn't need either of those things. So, PVCs, especially ones that are more severe, they can be very uncomfortable, but they also put unnecessary strain on your heart over time. I also discovered when I met with him that I have a prolapsed valve that makes a little bit of a murmur. It's just that when the valve is letting out the blood, it goes backwards a little bit, and blood spills back the direction from which it came, spills back the other way. So, but that's completely benign. So it's really the PVCs I'm keeping an eye on, because I do have that. It's like the fourth out of 5 designations in terms of like how sporadic they are. For me, they can be like beat, PVC, PVC, beat, PVC, PVC. So 2 abnormal beats for every normal one. And it can be very uncomfortable and obviously place unnecessary extra strain on your heart. So maybe I'll do a whole video just on this whole discovery and saga. they can be pretty harmless. Like, a lot of people have PVCs that are more sporadic, and they can definitely be more dangerous than mine are. So, you know, for my age though, it's something that's been stressful. You want to feel healthy when you're young, you know? I don't know, heart stuff is just scary. I can't even imagine people who live with much worse. Like, I feel embarrassed even talking about this, but yeah, it was really scary when I found out about it. And I've acclimated in the years since, and I've not gone back to my cardiologist on the yearly basis that he recommended. So, but he did say, you know, that if it's not bothering me, it's most likely okay. Not most likely. He was like, you would definitely feel it. Like, you'd be in so much pain and you'd have to go to the emergency room if something terrible happened. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I felt reassured for the time being because I didn't want to go on beta blockers or have the surgery at that point. So yeah, it's I'm gonna get it checked out in 3 weeks. I'm going to the same cardiologist because, again, he has a baseline. He's already seen me and has me on file, and he's also very good. And I was referred to him by a doctor that is also very good. So he's gonna do an EKG again. Maybe it'd be fun to show you my EKGs, just, you know, you could see what the PVCs look like. And then he's gonna do probably a stress echo again because he did one last time. So yeah, trying not to overreact. Again, heart stuff can be really scary, but in the midst of COVID, I just weighed my options and didn't want to go to the hospital and expose myself. So yeah, that's what's been going on. I'm running out of time and battery. I'm definitely going to do another video soon, and I'm going to get to work editing all the content I've already filmed. Just catch back up. I can't believe maybe they're like, I don't know, getting sand out of flip-flops or something. Those are some dirty flip-flops. Anyway, on that note, yeah, I should go. It's getting noisy, but there's more to catch you up on. There's always more to ramble about. So I'll make another catch up or update video soon, and I'm gonna set a little timer so I don't make a video that's impossible to edit. And in the meantime, I will keep working on those longer videos. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you get lots of REM sleep, and as always, I hope all your dreams are sweet. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.